Hey there, everyone. I'm Taz Thornton. I've been talking a lot over the past couple of weeks about what we can do to support one another, both as human beings, as women, and as those who, of course, are feeling rocked by some of the happenings in the world. But I want today to just talk briefly about what else we can do and how we might be able to go further. Can we be more aware of what some of our clients might be facing, what some of our loved ones might be going through, just of how the world population right now is feeling rocked. So some of the conversations I've had this week with people have included people feeling confused, frustrated, afraid, people worried about being seen to give too much to one cause when they know there are others, people being very, very aware that they have privilege and what right do they have to be feeling upset or confused or rattled right now. And I think we all need to be aware that although there has always been turmoil of some sort going on somewhere in the world, the past few years have built a cumulative effect that are going to leave a lot of us reeling. So we had Brexit, then we had COVID and the lockdowns. Now we've got Ukraine, and of course that's not to discount the wars and the conflict and the terrible situation already going on around the world in places like Afghanistan and Syria and Iraq. And then on top of that, we've got the media and the social media streams filling with things like, oh, we're going into another recession, and rising fuel prices, and what else? Energy bills about to increase. And then there are other little tiny pressures as well. I've even been hearing some people who are really worried about how on earth they're going to be able to afford to get onto the treadmill with an electric vehicle and do all of these things. We've had people witnessing their loved ones dying, not being able to see them. We've seen businesses failing over the past few years. And now again, we've got in our face constantly all these terrible happenings all over the world. And of course, off the back of that have come more arguments, things like that. Well, why is there so much of a spotlight on Ukraine with all those white faces when there are so many black and brown faces that have also been going through this for such a long time that we're turning a blind eye to? And then there comes a whole other chunk of debate out of that as well. And I don't want to talk particularly about any of those things specifically today. I'm just trying to highlight what's going on for people and why there's this cumulative impact. And I'm seeing more and more people right now who are really struggling. They're struggling with their mindset. They're struggling energetically. They're struggling spiritually. They're struggling with their mood. There are a lot of people who at the moment feel really stuck in anxiety, depression, dis-ease. There are a lot of people as well stuck in some really, in the midst of some really awful cognitive dissonance, and that can really make us feel awful as well. So I think for me, we need to look at what else we can do. And we need to be really, really aware of cutting ourselves a little bit of slack right now. So, for instance, one of the things I mentioned earlier is people who are in a place of privilege. I'm white. I live in the UK. I have a pretty stable business. What right do I have to feel rattled or wobbled or upset about things going on in the world when I have all this? And I know lots of people have been feeling that way. But as I said to one of my clients last week, the fact that you recognize that you are in a position of privilege does not take away the very real fact that right now your emotions are getting a battering, your energy core is getting a battering. Yes, of course, many of us are in a place of privilege if we go into that place of comparison, but that doesn't take away from the fact that we have hearts, we have emotions, and some of us really do sense and feel too much. So what can we do, people, outside of everything we're already doing as businesses, as business owners, as leaders, as thought leaders, as people leaders? What can we do? So for me, as well as continuing to make donations to a lot of different causes and charities and community interest causes as well, how can I care more for the people who are in my tribe and beyond? So I've been making sure that I'm putting out some good stuff on my social channels. I've been making sure that I go into kind of that practical mode as much as possible, whilst also holding on to intuition. What can I be saying that might just help people? What can I be saying that might give people a lift? But beyond that, beyond the kind of public facing stuff we put out there, what can we be doing on a one-to-one level, or on a deeper level? So for instance, tapping into my intuition, I've been sensing if somebody that I know, that I love, that I care about, or somebody who is a client, and I care and love about my clients too, of course. What if I sense that one of them is wobbling, is struggling in some way? I've just reached out to them. God, I hate that term, reach out, and I've just done it. But I've dropped them an email, I've given them a call, I've dropped them a WhatsApp, just saying, my spidey senses are pinging a little bit. Are you okay? Do you need anything? What's needed? I've also, coming out of some of my group programs where everyone's having a collective, I guess, dose of trauma, albeit very different to some of the kind of physical trauma going on in some places in the world. And so with some of my groups, I've said, hey, I'll make time available, and every week throughout this, for as long as we need, I'll make just 20-minute Zoom sessions regularly available, so that we can all just check in, not specifically to coach or to give action points or to mentor, but just for us to all have a safe space where we can share our feelings and where we can just outpour a little bit in that safe held space. I've been reaching out in some of my other groups, and again, just checking, how's everybody doing? What's going on for you? How are you feeling? What do you need beyond business and work and personal brand and all of the other stuff I usually talk to you about? What do you need in here? What do you need in your heart? What do you need in your gut? I've been making myself available as much as I possibly can and giving some practical safe spaces wherever I can. And I know this is just the tip of the iceberg. I know that we could all be doing more. I know that we could all be making ourselves perhaps more available in a more practical way in order to support those people who, as well as being loved ones, clients, or service providers, to put ourselves onto that level of just human beings. What's needed? So I know there's more I can do. I don't necessarily know what it is yet. I'm doing what I can. And I wanted to put this out today because I want you to all consider what more you can do. What else could you be doing to help to serve without having business and making money and all of that as your driving force? Simply as a human being wanting to be of service and to support human beings wherever they are, team human, in fact, all living things. What more could you do? So please, if you have ideas, if you have thoughts, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, from your communities. What are you doing to help? How can we all learn and support each other through this? And I also just want to say, isn't it dreadful that it's taken humanity to get to this point before we start asking these questions? I know this has been one of my drivers for a long time, for many years, wanting to serve, but now people are talking about how they can serve in an extra way more and more. And on the one hand, that's beautiful, something good is coming out of this. On the other hand, let's not do this ever again. Let's not wait for things to get this bad before we actively start doing something to lift, to support, to be of service wherever we can. We can all learn from this. We can all grow from this. Let's do more. Lots of love.